to understand why you need these DevOps, you have to go back a little bit, kind of down the line, maybe 4 to 5 years before. Okay, what what used to happen at least is this: you in the word DevOps itself, you see two words, right? One is Dev and one is Ops. Ops means operations. Okay, Dev means development. What this whole DevOps is saying is, how do you make development teams and operation teams work as one team? That is where this whole idea of DevOps came in. Previously, the way it used to happen is that development teams. So, what is that development team do? Their job is to actually build applications, right? So, these are the guys who actually work on building the applications. What is the job of operations? These guys will build the infrastructure
It's only going on.
required
And it's starting
to
now.
run to run this application. All right. Yes,
Hello, can
please
you
be
get
on mute.
me?
Let me put everyone on mute, guys. Guys, everyone, please be on mute just for 20-25 minutes. Okay. After that, I'll open up and you guys can speak. And the job of this operations team is to provide the infrastructure required to run these applications. Okay. So for a long time, the way it used to happen is these development teams, they used to work like one team actually. So because they are working on application, whatever language they use, they used to work as one team and they used to build their application. And the infrastructure team, these teams used to work on building the infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, it is basically setting up of or provisioning your servers, you're managing your databases, your security, network, everything I'm including here. So I'm speaking about the guys who work on DB or who work on OS, like setting up your servers, your security, your network, your monitoring teams. All these teams comes under this. So these guys had where they, generally the way they work is little bit same. So they each team is busy building their stuff. For instance, you take a OS team, they're busy building their servers and other things. But there comes a day when these applications, whatever are built by these development teams, you need to put it on these servers, right? So you used to, and eventually once the product is ready, you put it there and people access it. But all throughout the whole flow, it was almost like development team, are there in their own world, in terms of building their application, the way of thinking and other thing was completely different from the way how operation team works. When I say development teams, I mean developers, I mean your testing guys, QA, QC, everybody comes here. These kind of thinking way, is pretty much similar. They keep thinking about applications, testing those applications and all this. Whereas you see the operation guys, they are more into like, the servers, networks, IP addresses, this, that, and all that, right? And generally on the final day when you have to run these applications on the server, that is when lot of surprise elements used to come in. Then they came with this concept telling that, see, how about this? Let's come with some model where right from the beginning of the project, these two teams start working or collaborating right from the day one, so that last minute hiccups or last minute surprises can be avoided, and 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 this silo kind of system, structures, we break it, so everybody come together and work together. That was the actual intention of DevOps. But where does the difficulty come? Is this the job of you know the application team is basically, let's say you have a group of people who are working on the application, so they'll write their code here. Okay, their job is to write the code. So if you are writing it using some language like Java or other things or any kind of language, then you need to build that code. Build is basically nothing but creating an executable form of this code so that you can run it. So you write the code, you build the code, and after that you deploy the code. This is this is all we do. Deploy is this code, you will put it on your main systems or servers where you want this application to work. So the whole development thing is nothing but this. Write it, build it, deploy it. Before you deploy, this is where all your testing and other things comes, right? So it means you have different environments. Uh, you 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 create one environment, let's say something like a testing environment. You deploy it here, and you see whether your application is working properly or not. Once you find that it is working great, it is according to the way you planned it, you will actually put it into a kind of a different environment, which we call as a production environment, and you deploy your applications here. This is the environment what your end users will be accessing. So before it goes here, they'll move it to different kind of an environments and do lot of testing to make sure that once you deploy it and once your end users start using it, there is no problem for them. And this is where your whole testing things comes in. So these guys will take the charge, they test it, they say great, then see in a kind of a very structured way, they'll try to move it to the production so that when your application is moved to the production, users access it without any problem. What is production? By the way, general word what we use where your actual application is running. So the whole development is basically only four things: write it, build it, test it, deploy it. Nothing else. Whether it is cloud or on or your own data center or anything, this is the flow, right? So you write your code, right? Just the fact that it's not that one guy who will sit and write, it's a group of people you write it. So you'll put it in some kind of a repository. Repository is basically kind of some place where multiple people can simultaneously work. Okay, or maybe I can call it as a version control software, something like that. Yeah. Then test it, deploy it. This is all what your development teams does, nothing else. Even today also they do the same thing. Even 20 years back also they were doing the same thing. There is no problem, difference. But this group, they choose some kind of a language, and and they think more in terms of writing a code for it, right? Because application you have to write a code for it. Now I take a perspective of an operations team. So what is this team do? These are the guys who will build your new servers. These are the guys who will create your databases. These are the guys who will manage which user can log in, what he can do. These are the guys who will set up, these different environments, whatever I'm saying. These different environments. These are the guys who set it up. And the way these guys work is, if you talk to let's say a OS guy, like a sysadmins, their job is they keep on focusing that you create a server, you do the installation of OS on it. Let's say Linux. How do you work on Linux? That how do you create users there? Which command to use to do this? This is the kind way they'll think. You talk to a database guy, his kind of thing is, okay, how do I create a database, and how do I take a backup of it, or how do I provide a fault tolerance to that, or how do I create a tables for that, and this. Okay. So traditionally, what used to happen is the kind of you know language that we use or the way we think between these and these guys is completely different. These guys are always talking about code. For everything they'll keep on telling this code, that code, and all that. These guys will keep on telling network systems, OS, and this is the kind of language they use. Right? Now if I have to make these two guys work like one team, how do you do it? Okay? That is where DevOps has given us few guidelines how you can do it. Right? Now, let me take an example. As you know, Shiva started the discussion and he spoke about DB. Let me take that example. Okay. See, let's say, you know, just for a moment, think I am the manager of Shiva. Okay. We both are working in same team, and Shiva comes with a lot of database administration background. Today, I tell to Shiva that Shiva, there is a requirement in a project, right? For one application, those guys are asking that they need a database. Can you please set a database for me? Then he'll say, hey Ravi, can you once talk to the this OS guys, operate, Linux or Windows guys, and can you ask them to give me one machine where I can set up a database? Then I say, all right, I'll speak to that guys, and I'll give one system, okay, with OS installed to Shiva. Now Shiva's job is to set up database on this. Let's say, as a company and as a we made a choice that wherever we need to set up a database, let's say we'll use Oracle. So what Shiva will do is probably he'll have one document, where the whole Oracle installation steps are there, which is like a company standard. Shiva takes this document and he'll do the installation of Oracle. Later, again there is a step how he has to create the database. All that things document is there. Again, he'll create a database. Okay, I'm speaking about a very nicely built team where everything is neatly documented. I'm taking such a great case. Every great documentation is there. Even in that case, what he has to do, he will follow the same document and he'll set it up. Okay. After a week, I get one more requirement. Uh, you know, for another project where they asked me to set up a database server again. Again, I go back to Shiva and tell him, hey Shiva, can we do it? Can you set up a database server for him? Then he says, okay, give me a system. Again, I take a system, I set up a OS. Again, the same thing he'll follow. He'll set it up. Okay? Probably he'll take a day, 2 days, 3 days. Sometime he'll do it. Third week, again, I get a requirement that one more database has to be there. And let's say it's not just Shiva who works as a DB in our team. There are 10 more people there. Okay? Let's say Surya is also there. I tell Surya, just set up a database for me, right? Now Surya also follows this document, same document, and he'll also set up the database. Okay, I'm taking a very neatly defined case where documentation is there, everything is there. But can Shiva, Surya, or let's say I am the manager, can one of or any or three of us can we vouch for it that all these three systems are exactly same? Can any one of us tell for sure that even though we followed the same document, can you say that all the three are exactly same? Probably not. The reason is while setting up, even though you use the same document and keep doing it, as there is a lot of manual effort also there here. Based on the experience, Shiva might little bit tweak it here and there. If let's say Surya is not that experienced, he might do it little bit there here. But you will not be able to vouch for it and say that all the three are exactly same. All right. Now, when if all the three are same, luckily then it is great. But even one step here and there is there. Tomorrow, what will happen? When some application you are testing on this database, it runs great. It You are running it, testing it with this database, great. When the moment you test it with this, and this is where it starts giving you the problem. This is called as a drift. There is an every possibility that you'll find a drift when a kind of a human effort is there. Okay? This is the big problem for the system administration guys. When a company has some hundreds or thousands of servers and you are trying to set it up, suddenly you'll hear that, oh, you know what, my application was working great when I was testing it there. Today, when I put it here, it is not working. The only reason that could happen is application is same. Maybe there is some kind of a drift of configuration would have happened and it is not working. Again, the admin has to come and fix these things. And this is where you'll see a lot of support teams used to be there. Every day they used to keep getting alerts saying that this is not working, that is not working, and all that. So, what in the DevOps model, what they say is that, okay, see, how about this? Now that we want these two guys to work as a team, first at a mental level, let both of them think alike. Okay? And how does that happen? In the DevOps model, any operational activity you do, rather than doing things manually, how about writing a code for it? The way developers write code for application, operation people will write code for infrastructure, right? Same mental thing. Development are writing code for applications, operations are writing code for infrastructure. Meaning, in this case, whole of Oracle installation, what I'll do is I'll write a code for it. Once I have a code and Shiva uses that code to set up a database first time, he uses the same code to run it second time, and Surya also uses the same code to run the database here. Can we vouch for it now that all the three databases are exactly same? I will vouch for it. All three are same. Why? There is no human intervention here. All that is there is a code. It's just that a different people are running it. When the same code, let it Shiva run it, I run it, or Surya run it, end result will be same. We are not doing any manual thing in there. Code is there. We are just executing it. You see that? So we are actually trying to fix this whole the drift. Whatever happens, those are all fixed the moment we take this approach. Okay. Now this is just one example I have taken. So you will follow this for all the things. You will start writing the code. The way case I have taken here, where it is not that one developer is building the application, but a team of developers are building the code. Similarly, here also it's not only Shiva who is there as DBA. There are 10 more DBAs working, right? So the way these people put their code in a repository so that multiple people can work on it, I'll put my code also in the repository. The way these guys test the application, whether the application is working fine or not, similarly I'll test my this code also for the infrastructure. So once the code is written, I'll test it whether it is working fine or not. If it is fine, then I say, guys, everybody go and use it. In a DevOps model, whoever are coming from a kind of an operations background, this is what will change. So the question that Shiva asked me, Ravi, I'm a DBA. I want to come into DevOps. So is it something, completely different? No. You will still leverage your experience on DBS. The only thing is the way you work is different. Rather than taking a manual approach, you'll start writing a code for it. Now that he wants to go completely into a DevOps career, he has to do a little bit more things. What is that? I'll come. But the current things, whatever he is doing in his company, the moment now they went into DevOps, and if he's still a DBA in the team, he will have to follow this DevOps practice where his whole stuff, whatever is doing, rather than doing it manually, he will have to write a code for it. Now, at mental level, did I make these two guys think alike? Developers also, I'm following exactly the same kind of a approach what developers are following. Meaning that whatever developers are doing is great. Let it be like that. Operation guys also will tell them you do your work with a kind of a development mindset or a developer mindset. The way developer does his things, with that mindset, you do your job. So one guy we are telling, okay, you're fine, guys. Developers just don't do anything. Whatever you're doing is great. Just be there. Operation guys, you also please think like a developers and do your work and follow the best practices what these guys are following. So from the operation side, this is what will change. From the development side, what will change is for long time these deployments as I told you, you write a code, okay, you create an executable form of it, and you move it to the different environments, right? That is what is deployment. Deployment is nothing but you're copying onto servers so people can access it. Here they came with much more robust way of doing it. That is called CI/CD. If you were doing these things manually, what they prescribed is set up CI. CI means continuous integration. What is the meaning of that is whenever any developer update the code here, updates the code here, then this whole flow of building the code and deploying to the environment, it should happen automatically without anybody triggering it or other things. It should happen on flow. They do the change, the whole flow should run. Okay, this is that is continuous integration. What is a continuous deployment is basically this only, deploying it into your environments. So this on in this model, what happened is for the development side, the only thing that changes, if the way you are building your applications is happening manually, make it continuous. What is making continuous? Any change happens, the whole flow should automatically run. Of course, there are quite a few things you have to take care while doing this, because efficiency increases the moment you do a change, it goes, but you have to be little bit be careful and follow a lot of things there, which anyways, is a little bit deep study. We can learn that. So in DevOps at an implementation level is basically two things. One is this change, right? So this is okay. This is best practice. The code that you write for infrastructure, they gave it a name called IAC, infrastructure as code. So DevOps at an implementation level, it means within the company when you are working on your company moved into a DevOps model, only two things will happen, guys. Significant thing is this: infrastructure as code, and the second thing is CI/CD. This is the only two changes that will happen. Okay. So what is that we ended up or we understood now is that DevOps at an implementation level is basically two things: IAC and CI/CD, nothing else. So anybody ask you, hey, what is DevOps? Okay, you just tell them, see, at an implementation level, DevOps means the only big change that will happen is they will write a code for a whole infrastructure, and for deploying up applications, we'll make it continuous so that it happens in a very efficient way. Nothing else. But why this whole idea of DevOps came into picture? The idea is that we want to break that silos and make everybody work as operations and developers work as one team. Only 2 points. This is the intention, and last 7 to 8 years, people have moved into this kind of a model. But what used to happen is, or even today also, is that you take a company called ABC. Okay, this company has their own data center. Own data center means they, let's say, if the company is in Hyderabad, what they do is they take one building and they put all their servers at one location, and that is what we call it as their data center, and all the applications are running here. In last 4 to 5 years, what happened is people who are having their own building and putting their servers here, there is a lot of effort, guys. You need to hire a lot of network guys. You need to make sure that your power supply is good, your air conditioning is good, everything, just like a huge mechanical kind of an industry. You need to really manage this whole building, the servers, everything. What happened in last 3 to 4 years is this cloud concept came in. Okay, Mainly, three guys are there, but let's talk about this guy, Amazon. This guy is a market leader, and he came with he has his own cloud, and he started telling, hey guys, why do you want to set up your own data centers and other things? Why don't you come and set up your servers on my cloud, so that your headache of managing the servers, everything is gone. I'll do it for you. This value proposition seems great, and people started doing a little bit of migration. Not that everybody are completely into that. Still, there are places where they have their own setup, and some applications are working on cloud. You take small companies, probably completely everything they are on cloud also. The moment they went onto the cloud, these methods have become even more powerful, because you just don't want to do things manually the way you are doing it, last 15, 20 years. Rather, this approach is a perfect way to manage the cloud. All right. So this became even more important. So you want to set up some server in the cloud, rather than doing it manually, because the code is there. You'll just run the code. It will set up your server. It will set up your database and other things. That is a little bit of your automation stuff, right? Then it started getting much more importance. So what we have done in the course is that this is where you learn this cloud AWS. The cloud from Amazon is called AWS. This is where you learn how to create your systems, how to create your applications, and all the things on Amazon cloud, including if Shiva now is managing databases on a database server on-prem, when he moves his database into the cloud, how he has to do it, or what are the options to work on database on cloud. So we do a deep study there on how to work on AWS. So it means what happened now? Now for us, we need to learn this DevOps. So first thing we need to learn is how to do this. For this is where we have put a topic called, or a tool called Ansible. Using this, we learn how to automate this stuff. And there is one more tool called Terraform. These two tools, the whole idea is we learn how to create code for an infrastructure.
But
Okay.
this Terraform and Ansible,
No, hold on,
this
hold on.
comes
Hold
the
on, hold on,
IOC.
hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll open up, then you can ask, right? So that is where these two concept comes. Now, to learn this cloud, we have put in AWS. These tools, you can use it if your company is in this kind of a setup, or even in this kind of a setup also. Then to learn this CI/CD, what we have done is we have put it. There is a very popular tool called Jenkins. With this, we'll try to understand how to set up this CI/CD stuff, or how to deploy your applications. The fact that we are doing on AWS, AWS also has a method of doing the CI/CD. There is something called code pipeline and all that. That also we have put it. That is what is your AWS pipeline, or AWS DevOps, they call it, right? Basically, nothing but AWS only. You learn more about the CI/CD stuff. That also we have put it. Off late, what is happening is there is a one more kind of a technology that was growing up from last many years, and it became very dominant now. That is called containers, and this is becoming the most important now in your companies. And this is where we have, you see in the syllabus, we have put this Docker and Kubernetes. So what is that we are trying to get through this whole course is that we will start learning these tools: Ansible, Terraform, Jenkins, code pipeline, whole of AWS, Docker, and Kubernetes. Now there was one more question from Pratibha, that he comes from a Java background and all that. Now let's see, how does this actually, these tools code you'll write down. See, I'm telling to the infrastructure guys, write a code for it. Okay. So Shiva is there. I tell Shiva, write a code for your whole database, and I tell Shiva, now you have to learn Java or some language, and you have to become like a developer. Does it make sense, guys? It doesn't, right? He comes from a database background, and I'm telling him to learn all the developer kind of a tools and other things. That will not happen. Even if I pitch that, nobody in the company will learn it, because it doesn't excite them. So what these guys have done is, these tools, if you want to write code using these tools, right? You don't need any kind of programming knowledge, nor you need to know any programming concepts, nor you need to know any of those logics. These tools follow a kind of these tools are basically called as a declarative languages. What is declarative languages is, while writing a code for it, you'll just tell what you want. You just need to write a code of telling what you want. How to do it, this guy only will take care. It means these tools, whatever you learn in DevOps, it has nothing to do with any of the programming language or the programming concepts. You will not at all write it like that. It's altogether different way of writing it, which anybody can write. A standard structure of telling what you want, what you want, what you want. Rest all the tools will take. That is the reason why people are able to embrace this and start using it. You see that? Meaning that whoever are not interested in programming, whoever does not have a background in programming, nothing to worry. That has nothing to do with this. This is altogether new. Even you bring me a guy who is a very, very senior architect or a very seasoned kind of an engineer in a Java or another language. The moment he wants to get into a DevOps kind of a career, he will have to learn this tool and the way of writing it. And believe me, there is no, even he has to learn it completely new how to write it. So we don't need any of your programming language. Anybody can learn it. In fact, all this whole course, anybody can learn it. So, Surya coming from a pharmaceutical industry, he can still learn it. No problem. Well, because any guy, even he guy who's there from 20 years in IT also, he has to get into DevOps. He has to learn all these things. There is no other way even for him, right? So these tools are very very simple, guys, to learn. Very very simple. Anybody can learn. Okay. So in fact, this is what is the whole syllabus, and the way at least I do my training is the way I'm doing the demo now. This is the board where I speak theory, then I'll go and show you the practice. Okay. I generally avoid using slides and other things because I think it sometimes it is a easy way of doing things rather than really delivering the exact knowledge what has to be delivered. This for me I feel is good to deliver it. All right. So that is all I have, guys, for what we do as a part of this course. Now I open up and you guys can ask your questions. Feel free, you can ask any question.
Hi Ravi, what is the duration of this course?
Yeah, Ajay, even last batch also. Now I was telling that, guys, give me some 50 hours. You give me, okay, and we'll do it in 2 months. And generally, I tell them 2 months. The reason is, see, as a trainer, for me the big challenge will be that how do I conduct a course before people lose that motivation? And all throughout conducting this for many years, what I found is 2 months is a very good time for someone to maintain the focus and get it done. Anything stretched out of it, that fatigue comes in and that motivation goes down. And I tell that guys, let's do it in kind of um, uh, 2 months. I keep that as a target, but what is happening is it is slipping to 2.5 months nowadays. Little bit because the topics are more, but roughly you put it to 50-60 hours. 2 months is the target, but give me a little bit leeway of 1 2 weeks more, just in case, some holidays or something. But in terms of hours, 50 to 60 hours.
Okay, okay Ravi, so it is a weekday course or weekend?
No, it's an everyday
Weekday, and
practice.
what will be the timing?
Timing generally we do it in only in the morning. That I think the front office guys will reach you with different slots that we have.
And what about the real-time project and study materials?
See, as far as the project is there in the syllabus, we give one application, right? So that is what we'll try to do it. As far as the study guides are there, one thing what we do is every class, once the class is done, they'll record the class and they'll give it to you. So it means the whole class video will be there with you throughout the till the end. Okay.
Okay.
When yeah, whenever we need some material and other things, I try to forward it. But general way I generally try to do is, I do the whole tool and I tell don't maintain too much of notes and all that. Because I know it is of no use. Just try to understand it, practice, whatever we do in the class multiple times, and that is what should be the approach. Don't take an approach of trying to go through hundreds of books, learning. That is of no use in DevOps. Right? Not to say that you should not read. The only thing what we tell is once you get into the job, then you get a lot of time. Then you want to do a deep dive, keep doing. But till you get a grip of it, the whole idea is just keep practicing whatever we do it in the class.
So Ravi, do you provide any doubt classes since if we need to install these tools and need to work in our local systems, so it might be we'll get some issue. So you provide any support class?
Generally, what the front office will answer more. We have with lab faculties and other things. But generally, the way I do is that because we do everything practically. End of the class, I ask, anyone has a problem. So what I do is I'll make them the presenter. They'll share their screen. So everybody, you also can share your screen. I can see it from here and I can tell you where the problem is. That is one thing I do. Other thing is that from the institute side, we maintain a WhatsApp group and you all are there. I think even the lab faculty will be there. So you pitch something, he'll jump in and try to help you. But get the this one take a word from the front office. Okay, this kind of support, whatever you want. Once try when they call you, just try to speak to them
Okay.
because day in day out they'll be with you. So yeah. Anybody else guys? Any other questions?
Hey Ravi, this is Suraj. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have a
Suraj, yes,
question.
please. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the scope of AWS in this after completing this course? Can we try for AWS admin job as well?
Yeah, naturally. Yes. What we have done, Suraj, is that AWS, whatever is required for you to work in your company, everything we have put it here.
Okay. Okay. And one more thing, when I was just searching for the DevOps job, I see in the description that there most of the case they are asking for Python as well. Is that really needed, or is it
See,
make sense we
what?
complete the Python first and come for DevOps?
No. Basically, like this. See, Python has nothing to do with DevOps. Okay.
Okay.
The reason why they are asking, they want Python also is basically uh, one is as a requirement they put it. Generally, what happens in a company is when you are working as a DevOps and you are doing some task, you will try to fix it with your Ansible or whatever tool we are using it here. There could be some instances where you feel that writing a code for that is a little bit easy in Python. Leaving that extreme cases, you probably will never use Python. Okay?
Okay.
So by mistake also don't try to learn Python from a kind of an application development. It has nothing to do with DevOps. Python you
Okay.
can
Nothing
use
to
it to
do with
build your
infrastructure, right?
applications and all that also. Yeah. In infrastructure also, there are just one few modules there. In fact, that is what the whole Ansible uses. In fact, the whole thing required for a DevOps guy on a Python is very, very fundamental knowledge of only five things: your variables, your loops, your conditions, and how do you put it. Don't even learn oops concept and other things. That also we don't use it in DevOps kind of way. Very, very fundamental of knowledge on Python should be sufficient. By mistake also, don't do a deep dive in Python and try to become a Python developer. Python developer
Okay.
is different. DevOps is different. True. You know, you do too much of a database work, you'll become a DBA. You do it too much of a Linux work, you become Linux admin. Right?
Okay.
So,
Okay. I
Okay.
went to, yeah.
So
It,
can you get me?
oh,
Hello, can you
yeah,
get me?
yeah. Go
Hello.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, yeah. Can we do? Is there something like agile? Because I see most of the jobs require that must be a DevOps engineer with agile. Are we going to do agile in the course?
See, agile. We used to have it in the course. We removed it. It's more about how do you run your projects. The reason why we kind of removed that is all that you require as a DevOps nowadays, everywhere it is agile kind of stuff, right? So what you'll have is a story will be created for you. You'll work on it, and every day you meet and you do a kind of a stand up. For that, again, a deep kind of study is not required for a DevOps practitioner, so we removed it. It has, by the way, agile has nothing to do technically. It is basically how do you run your teams, right? So this syllabus itself has become so huge. Then we thought, okay, let's remove that because naturally none of these guys who are into the technical side of DevOps will manage those agile process and other things. You'll have your scrum masters doing it. That was the intention why we removed it. They tell you agile, meaning that you know how to work in an agile kind of an environment where a story is assigned, you work on it. What is the meaning of a sprint, or what is a stand up, or how you work it. It doesn't mean that you need to really know how to set up an agile process and all that. If you try to set up an agile process, you'll become a scrum master.
Okay.
And just
Hi,
one more
sir.
thing, Ravi, is that
Vinay here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, sir. In this course, do we cover Linux also?
See, I was about to say that. See, the only thing that is required for the whole course is Linux. So what we do is we start it with Linux only. Yes, we do. Without Linux, none of these tools you'll be able to work. And that you don't need to learn it. We'll do it in the as part of course.
Okay, sir.
As
So
we
what?
look at
Yeah.
the syllabus, actually, it's so lengthy, and you said the period is of 2 months. Are we able to cover everything that I actually have seen on the syllabus?
Of course, we'll have to do everything. Otherwise, the syllabus doesn't make sense. But it is like this. See what happens if you see a tool like Ansible and Terraform, right? When I teach you Ansible, it will take a little bit of time. The moment I go to Terraform, the fact that you know Ansible, I'll be able to do that tool very fast because all these tools pretty much work in the same way at a mental level or a conceptual level. They are pretty much same. So initially, it will take a little bit of time to learn the tool, but later part, it will be like a free flowing stuff.
Okay. So I'd really be happy actually to have a master of this because the jobs here are so competitive and one needs to really put in the best, actually to prove the best, you want to keep the game, not only to have the job, but to keep it. So I will really be happy if actually I really have the best so that when I secure a job, I should be able to really demonstrate the best in it.
See, naturally, whichever we learn, we should be very good with that. So wherever almost everything, whatever we discuss in the course, we do it practically, and I think we deliver it pretty good also. So I think it should be great. That probably people who have already taken they can review it, but the way I see, I think we do it quite good. So it should be great actually.
Okay.
All right. So if don't have any questions, then I think we can wind it up. So what you guys
Yeah,
can do is,
I just have
yeah,
one last question.
yeah, yeah.
As I said, right, it's like more of a DBA background, right? What I'm trying to understand here is like, let's say, as you said, we need to learn ISE, Terraform, Ansible. When I look this, right, this is a job of a system admin, right, who is doing in AWS or Azure. So setting up the infra environment and is like something. Are we? What I'm trying to say is like, let's say now why everyone is running behind DevOps is because when they see in terms of the career growth and basically the salary range, right? So everyone is thinking that why not opt the DevOps. So if I have to only just understand little bit of things, what I'm currently doing on top of it, this DevOps, do you really see a kind of a growth for that particular field? Until unless if I don't switch completely to DevOps, I will not be able to catch the whole gain here. Rather, I'll be like kind of the partially I'm adopting it.
Partial adoption is of will not work for you. Reason is that your okay. Let me explain it to you. See, even I actually started career into the systems and work for a while as a DBA and all that stuff. Okay, for long time, Shiva. Even now when we are setting up a database server and all that, we probably you would have spent many hours to learn it. At least I have spent many hours learning it, right? Now, if your project is working on a cloud, you want to set up a database server, you want to set up your replications, you want to set up your backups and all that. Do you know how much time it will take? Probably not
It takes
more than,
hardly 30 minutes.
not even 30 minutes, probably just 4 to 5 clicks. So it means from the database side, I'll be, if you see, if you notice the change in last 2 3 years, in your company database servers, if there were 100 database servers before, I vouch if the moment they move it to the cloud, probably one or two will be left out, rest all will be moved to the different project because you don't need that skill. The reason is the cloud itself is managing everything for you.
Correct, correct. It's a PaaS service we have opt for,
It
so
is
everything is
do
managed by
the
the
job
cloud.
absolutely. Now, if it is just database, you learn partially only database. What is the value you are adding for a company is almost zero, nothing. Other than the designing aspect of little bit on database, nothing else is of use because even a person out of college now can set up a database server, right? So in that sense, what is happening is that is the reason why everyone are learning this container technology, AWS and all this, so that you will try to fit in somewhere, into your DevOps teams. If it is if you want to move only within your company and they are okay that they want you to work on the cloud side only on database, then I think partial thing is okay. You don't need to really waste time, money and other things learning all things. But if you are planning to come into an open market and try for a job, then I think you have to
So
see it
here,
that
I
way.
mean, just since you have already have that background, right? And since you have already been switched to DevOps, and what did you suggest, like, to the person who is into this currently, the same field? I mean, at same
See,
as
I'll
your
suggest
position you were there, right? So,
I'll suggest one thing, Shiva. See, today if you are in a very decent job, okay,
okay,
you are doing good, and you feel that you want to be more time with the company, then what I would suggest is probably no point in learning all this stuff. Okay, just see if you want to, if you have to switch to that team, if there are any specific things there, and just learn that. Okay, and just try to move
okay.
over there. Make it, let it, put it very simple. That's what is required. Learn it. In case you think that you want to come into open market and really find a job as a DevOps, then I suggest that you do this course. Within the company, you are already there. Only one project is running on, and you have to move to that project. Then I think AWS, you just spend 2 3 hours. Also, you'll get a decent. It's just few clicks. You can do it off. No need to really spend time and all this on this. See it that way. So you make a choice first.
No, but when you look for an open market, right, you are considered as a kind of a fresher, I would say, right? Because it's a completely altogether change in technology. Though you have a
See,
past, the experience, but it's like a
no,
fresh new
in
things
your
and a lot of
case,
change.
no,
Yeah.
in your case, even you put a DevOps, it will, if anybody sees your resume and they think you are a fresher, then we have to pity that guys. The whole reason is that you come with a very solid experience on database and how the things work. And as I was telling you, DevOps is more about how you do the things. It is not some kind of a technology where they'll ask you, okay, how many days you are working in cloud. Little bit, okay, probably they might ask you, okay, 1 2 years, but still the fact that you are there from many little bit of experience you have it, our way, you naturally you'll say that you've been working from last 2 3 years on this, puts few points, and I think the buy-in should happen very easy.
Okay. Okay. I got your point. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, guys, I
Sir,
think we'll wind it. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
do
Sir,
you, do
myself,
I have
sir.
time to
Yeah.
ask the question?
One at a time. Okay, go ahead.
Sir,
Hello, sir. Myself
can you
Kushikira.
answer some questions?
Uh,
Yeah, Saxena, go ahead. Go ahead, Saxena.
yes, sir. I'm yes. Previously, I discussed with you. I'm from pharmaceutical industry. Do you tell me how, from the scratch, how should I prepare for DevOps? Means from the point to point.
The way we take up this course is we take it a point that everyone are new and we'll start the discussions from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw many of your demo videos, sir, previously, such
Okay.
like yours and the Preetham sir and everyone. Some of them, yeah, you said before that start from Linux, and he said from like do from fundamentals of the computer basics. So from where do I start before mugging up this session or
No,
anything?
what I told is I will start it from ground zero. So what I told is please don't do anything. So no need to do any preparation. Just listen to the classes. I think you should be good. I actually didn't tell that you have to learn Linux and other things. What I was trying to say is that I will only do it, okay, as part of course. So you don't need to really do anything and come. Only thing is while we are doing the class, you are completely from different industry. You have to put little bit more effort. That is the only difference.
Yeah, what's my practice time, sir? How much time should I practice in a day?
No, no, that is a subjective one, right? So yeah, my philosophy is that I tell them everyone practice only one time. Don't work too hard. Uh, s- One time only you do it and rest all time whenever you get a chance, keep thinking about it. That is the way I explain it. But the fact that you are new, then it depends upon how much time you want to give it and what is your target date of attending your interviews and other things. Okay. So I will definitely I'll not say that you have to work for 10 hours, 5 hours like that. But 1 hour class is there, at least 1, 2 hours a day for initially, at least for you will be good. Later, anyways, you'll become, you don't need to spend so much time.
Do you train up on the interviews and all, and or how to talk in an interview and
See,
everything?
as far as interview things are there, once talk to the front office guys, okay? Because the way we conduct the core, the assumption is that all your interview questions are covered there itself. Right. So,
Okay.
in case you're expecting that some interview questions and all that, which personally I don't believe that interview questions and all that should be read. Interview should always be free flowing. Whatever we know, we tell it. That is how I see it. But a little bit of interview help and other things you need. Once talk to the front office guys. They'll call you. Just talk to them once.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, guys. I think I'll wind it up here. Any questions you have, please talk to the front office. Feel free, and clear all your doubts. Okay. Thanks very much. I think we had a very good discussion. Thanks, guys.